Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mirai Club. Today we're just going to be doing a quick look around of the Dodge Challenger GT. So we're going to be going over mainly the visuals, the feel of the car. I'm not going to be going over any of the significant specs, but just a look around for those of you that are looking around for this car or something similar. Just kind of give you my opinion. Let's pop the hood first before we dive in. So this is the Dodge Challenger GT, meaning it is a V6. I believe it's a Pentastar, but it is a V6 mated to a 8-speed transmission, 3.6 liters. Let me get in there. Plenty of room here. And Dodge gives you this little badge. Designed in Auburn Hills, Michigan. And assembled in Brampton, Ontario. All right, let's open the doors now. Obviously, it's a very, very long car. So let's get into the passenger seat and then I'll go into the driver's side. Excuse all the trash. But let's start with the door panel. It's the same on the driver's side, essentially, more or less. But you got some soft leather here, cloth, and then the hard with a little bit of give. You can see that there. And then the door release is right there. And you got an extra cup or a holder hole here. Obviously a little cup holder there. Alpine sound system, which sounds not bad, I think. But you have DC charging here, which is nice for passengers. This robs, I think this is the transmission, I assume, robs a lot of the available floor space. There's a lot already, but I feel like it could be much more. Everything is driver oriented, so slightly pointing at the driver, which personally I like. Everything, this is a Fiat product, Stellantis now. In typical Dodge fashion, everything is just not as polished as some other brands. But before I dive into those, let me say, I do like the shifter. It's pretty comfortable. I feel like the center console, if you wiggle it back and forth, pretty firm, not a lot of give. So overall build is pretty good. But the things you touch a lot, like for example, the volume knobs, these buttons, I don't know if you can see this, wiggles, you feel this while you're using it. Anyway, plenty of HVAC or the AC controls here. You have your sport button. That is the only performance button that I found outside of the traction control being off. Overall, a pretty decent interior, I would say, given the price point. This is the more or less the base model. Up top, you got sunglass holder, pretty standard with a little bit of lining. And then your garage openers, but listen to this. I don't know if you can hear this. Plastic, fantastic. However, I do think you're not going to be touching that very much. So if they had to cheap out, that's not a bad spot. But overall, the whole dash is just like kind of plushy plastic. I find that this material is used on base model Jettas or Volkswagen products a lot. But yes, interior passenger seats are the same as these, but they're comfortable. They do bolster your shoulders really nicely, and the sides pretty comfortable overall. And then you have the steering wheel, which I think is really nice, considering the price point, and also it feels premium. In terms of leather, overall build, I think the buttons could use some work, but I would say the steering wheel feels pretty nice. Gauge cluster right there, kind of retro styles. You got your controls here to change the screen, your voice command, your phone settings. Behind the left-hand side, you can change tracks or channels. There's a button back there, and then on the same side, on the other side, it says volume up and down and a selector. So there's two sides of these. There's volume on the right, and then channels on the left. Pedals, pretty standard. Nothing too glamorous there. The emergency brake, parking brake. Your buttons. It's your trunk release, which we will press. And then the rear seats are actually pretty roomy, all things considered. The seats are pushed back pretty far, but if you had to get some passengers to a point A to point B, not too bad of an option. Your glove box. You have your cigarette lighter controls, two USB ports, and an aux cable port. You have two cutouts here for your cables. Before we get out, let's check the glove. So you have a little bit of room right here, and a little storage cubby up there. So I know I did the trunk popper, but you do get a rear view camera, and the popper for the trunk is right here. I'm gonna open this up. Huge trunk. Fit a body back here. Just kidding. But yes, you can see it's lined. I don't want to say nicely, but it's lined. Looks like someone put a dent in this one. And then underneath, you can pull this up. You got your battery in the rear, which is a big battery. Your spare, which looks like a donut. Yep, it's a donut. We got your spare here, which is nice, but you're gonna have to pick this up over this massive ledge. And this is bound to get scratched up if you're not careful. So you gotta be careful here. But really nice spot there. A massive trunk. And you can push the seats down right there. Or it looks like it. Let me see if we can do that from the inside. Your fuel tank, die-cast aluminum. Thanks for explaining it to me, Chrysler. I'm gonna open up the rear seats. Try to. That's how you get to the rear. So just the top portion folds over. The bottom doesn't slide with it. Let's see here. So it does look like there's a release, and yes, you can right here. So you pull, and then open up to the rear. So plenty of trunk space. So to live with this every day, not a bad option. You do get air vents back here, which is surprising. But I'm gonna try to fit behind in the rear. And I am 6'2". I'm definitely probably on the larger side. And this is how I would fit. The seat is, again, kind of further back, but my legs do have to be flared. I will say my back's pretty comfortable, and there are little lights here, which is nice. Hook, and I'm gonna check my headroom out, but it is not good. Sorry for the hair. But yeah, I mean, overall, if I had to just kind of tough it out for a little bit just to get somewhere, not bad at all. Surprised they have air vents back here, but not bad. A lot of thigh support right here because it's so long. As we get out, oh gosh. Yeah, I don't like that the bottom doesn't slide up. but just releases the back. As you can tell, the top portion is manual. You adjust that here. You have lumbar support, which I find to be very nice, actually. And then you have electronic up and back and forth. All right, now let's start her up, see how she sounds. I'm gonna leave the door slightly open. So here, foot on the brake, press. So did you hear that? Probably not. This thing's quiet. Close the door and gauge cluster. I personally think these look pretty good. I know a lot of people give this kind of plastic pattern a bad rap, but I think it looks not bad, to be honest. This is the same infotainment for some time, but honestly I have no major complaints. It's very responsive. And then HVAC controls, it's pretty responsive, so it works, it does its job. I don't have any major complaints with it so far, even on touchscreen. Okay, that was a little laggy. So it works well, just don't rush through things, but overall not bad day to day. We have park, reverse, you get sensors, and you get a rear view camera. It's pointing straight up at the sky because the trunk is open, but you get the idea. Neutral, drive, and then if you shift it to the left, go to manual mode, up for downshift, back for upshift. So BMW does the same thing. Actually matches pretty much how a sequential would work. So you downshift going forward. If you ever see like rallycross or any significant racing that uses a gear shift like this, this is how it works. I think this is the proper way, but you leave your comments below. But yes, the shifter feels pretty good. Overall, here are the controls again. And yeah, that's pretty much it. What did I not cover? View of the interior, seating position's pretty nice. Overall drive feel, it's pretty comfortable. I can live with it day to day. The throttle response is unpredictable. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but depending on the gear you're in this 8-speed transmission, obviously it depends, but if you're in auto, it searches for gears it takes a while, but it gets there. This car is extremely slow, but if you're buying a GT, I think you expect that. I think this competes, I don't know the specs, but just by my butt dyno, this competes with perhaps like a base Honda Civic, maybe. But anyway, overall I think the layout is nice. I'm toggling through here, so you can toggle through different specs. Oh, this is kind of fun. 0 to 60 resets this every time you're in park or you're stopped. You do your average MPG, basic trip information, media, storage, miles per hour, and if you go left to right, you can change that, whatever view you're looking at. This I find very helpful, especially if you're tracking the car. If you wanted to, you can check oil pressures, all that stuff, which is really cool. Or sorry, oil temperatures. So oil temp, coolant temp, trans temp, all amazing. But yeah, overall a pretty simple interior, I would say. This is the Challenger GT V6, made it to a 8-speed manual or 8-speed transmission. Look at how small this is. Anyway, yeah, I would say overall as a daily commuter, this is not a bad idea. If you have to have a 2-door sports car in your life and you want a daily commuter that's affordable, I would put this up there. The trunk space is usable. The overall drivability is pretty nice. It doesn't punish you. And yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, the ride is for its price point, appropriate. It has a lot of practicality. However, for a V6, and this day and age, I assume it's because the car is very heavy, but the MPG is about, I averaged a little in the low 20s. Not that you buy these cars for a great MPG, but just so you know, the low 20s. They haven't changed the styling in quite some time, but I still think it looks pretty good. All right, but thanks for watching. This is the 2023 Dodge Challenger GT.